Good afternoon.
Hi, Phil.
Afternoon.
You well?
Very good, thank you. Apologies for being a bit late. Okay.
Thank you very much.
There's usually 3 people here, so yeah, don't worry. Sky, do you want to go first? Yeah.
Phil, first of all, congratulations on the appointment as Sunderland manager. Why this club? Why now?
Well, first of all, it's a great opportunity to get this club going again, and the attraction is clear for everybody. You know, the size of the club, the fan base, the quality of the players. You know, and I want to look back, you know, when in a few years' time, you know, if I'm still here or not here, but I was a manager who got this club off and running again. I think that process has started to be put in place. Very unlucky last year not to get over the line. My job now is to find the extra 10-15% from individuals and from the team to bridge that gap between the playoff position last year and the top 2 hopefully this year.
We all know the circumstances beyond your control that you had to endure over at Bolton, and I suppose you could have been forgiven for wanting time out of the game. That clearly hasn't been the case because you're back here today. Yeah,
well, I've had, I think, 6-7 weeks, and that's long enough. I've enjoyed a break. Delighted to see that Bolton was eventually taken over by Football Ventures. I think that was very important, and but I've thoroughly enjoyed a break, but I feel I'm ready, and I'm relishing this challenge.
To what extent have you been given assurances about the financial stability here at this club? Because they've endured their own issues over the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, obviously, you know, through the interview process, you know, that was discussed, you know, and I'm very happy with what I was told, and you know, it's a club which we know has had some difficult times, but I'm very confident that it's on an upward curve.
Have the board been as blunt with you as saying the goal this year has to be promotion?
I mean, I think without saying that, I think everybody knows the expectations of a club of the stature of Sunderland is to get promoted, and you know, that I wouldn't have come here if I didn't believe I could achieve that. With the squad which is in place, and secondly with the backing, you know, I believe I'll get from the board and the support I'll get from everybody around.
Just to clarify though, they have said that promotion is the ambition this season.
Yeah, well, it's got to be the ambition. I think you'd be crazy if you spoke to a potential manager and said, you know, we're happy to just tick along nicely this season. You know, they want someone who's ambitious, who's achieved promotions before, and knows what it takes to get over the finishing line. And you know, English football is about tight dividing lines, and the detail in terms of preparing teams and getting the best out of players is so crucial. And I'm going to be working very hard along with the staff to hopefully achieve that.
With all that in mind, then that makes your first game in charge a fairly big one, doesn't it, this Saturday?
Yeah, well, Wycombe have had a great start this season. Probably the surprise package, but they, you know, deserve to be respected. And I think maybe teams have underestimated them at times, and they can play on that. But I think it's a stage of the season now where they deserve the utmost respect because of the start of the season they've had.
Thank you.
Phil, how long has this been a possibility, this day of you sitting here as the new Sunderland football manager?
Well, obviously Jack left, was it 10 days ago? Probably not quite that. And you know, I first spoke to the Sunderland board just prior to last weekend, and again at the start of this week. So things happen quickly in football, and the board had to make a quick decision with the games coming up thick and fast, as we know. So obviously delighted to be offered the job, and like I say, now it's up to me and all the staff to make the most of it.
How much do they make in interviews with your CV, your experience particularly of League One and getting clubs out of League One?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously crucial because my last promotion was at Bolton, which I went to with the club in an transfer embargo, with nothing to spend whatsoever, and had to completely rebuild that club and a demoralised squad as well at the time. And I got the club promotion, and obviously very, very proud of that. And I would imagine, that was a key factor. Yeah.
Parallels, do you think, the Bolton-Sunderland situation, former Premier League clubs falling on hard times for whatever reason?
Yeah, similar. I think obviously Sunderland is quite a way ahead of where Bolton was when I took over in terms of the financial situation. But in terms of a club who's had a lot of success in the history and has found itself, in the third tier of English football, there's definitely similarities. And
you're not coming to a club that's in the lower reaches of the division. I mean, Jack Ross's side didn't have the best of starts, but they didn't have the worst of starts either. I mean, you were still in not a bad position in the league. Yeah, obviously the international break dropped down a few positions as you'd expect, but the league is really tight, and there's a great opportunity to get a couple of wins quickly and get ourselves right in the mix. And you've obviously met the players this morning, and you've taken training, but you've probably had a few days to actually think about what you would do at Wycombe if you were confirmed as Sunderland manager. Yeah, it's when I first met the Sunderland board, then in your mind you've got to start preparing, and when you're in an interview process, you watch as many games and get to know the squad as much as you can, because the minute you get employed, you've got to get into action very, very quickly, and the games are coming round very quickly. So I've watched a lot of the previous games, I've watched a lot of the individual players, obviously know the opposition, and I'm looking forward to preparing the Sunderland team for the weekend, which is going to go down there and get the 3 points. Finally from me, I mean, some reckon there's been a little bit of a hangover after the dramatic defeat in the playoff final. Do you think a new broom coming in can kind of finally lift that feeling of gloom around the club? Yeah, I think it's inevitable that can happen. It's happened before, after a playoff final, and yes, a new voice on the training pitch can certainly have a positive effect, and that's what we aim to do.
Hello, Phil. Simon O'Rourke from ITV Times.
Hi.
You've taken a look at your squad. Do you think you've inherited a squad that has the tools to do the job that you're here to do and get promoted?
Yeah, I think there's talent in the squad. I think all the Sunderland supporters can see that. We've got to address the balance in the team, make sure that we're good with the ball and without the ball. And the teams which ultimately at the end of the season achieve success are those sides. And I'll be looking closely and working closely with the lads to try and achieve that, because we've got a lot of talent, a lot of good attacking players. We've got to make sure that we've got the belief that whilst we're attacking, we're not leaving ourselves vulnerable, which I think has happened at times.
When you look at the results defensively and the lack of clean sheets, it is something that stands out. So is that something specific that early on you'll be looking to correct? Yeah,
you've got to have a solid base if you're going to be at the top of any division in English football, because games are very tight, and yeah, of course, clean sheets at the end of the season are crucial, and we all want to attack and scoring goals and exciting the supporters, which is really important. But you can do that by making sure also you're not vulnerable when you lose possession.
It's an interesting situation at Sunderland, because a lot of fans are used to having lived their life up in the Premier League and then have dropped down suddenly into the divisions, and it can create a sort of strange level of expectation against reality. Is that something that you're ready for?
Yeah, I think myself and the players have got to expect that and be prepared to deal with it, because that's the expectations of being a club of the stature of Sunderland. And we've got to use the supporters to our advantage. They travel away in numbers. The attendances are fantastic at the home games, and we've got to use that to inspire us. And ultimately, we want to send the supporters home and into work on Monday with 3 points, and they can be proud of the club. And we've got no divine right to win games. We know that we've got to earn every single point along the way.
When you were speaking with the chairman, did he mention any possibility of future investment, or were you just brought in to sort of accept what you've got at the moment?
It was discussed in terms of going forward, but it's a case of let's get to January and see when you're in the building what you feel about the squad. And but there's a real desire from the board to be successful.
And you mentioned the month of January. Was there a suggestion of any wiggle room for you there?
Well, more or less what I said there, that these months are about assessing the squad, and I'm sure that if we need reinforcements in January to give us a boost, the board will give me the backing.
Finally from me, we've used the word promotion a lot. You've been there and done it in League One. In your opinion, what does it take to get promoted from this division?
Well, it takes a team that can do both sides of the game very well, can sometimes win when you don't play at your best. I think that's key, because it's impossible always to be at your very best as a team. We'd all like that, but when you don't play at your best, it's important to still pick up the wins. And to win all types of football games at this level. And I think that's the difference. That you can go to certain environments, and you've got to put Wycombe in that category, a tight pitch where there is the supporters down there, probably like a cup final for Sunderland going to Wycombe, and dealing with those situations and being ready for that, and not coming away on the coach on the way back and saying, that caught us by surprise today. We've got to be ready for all environments and come out on top more often than not.
Thank you.
Cameras up, please.